Hello, welcome to another Glenys Garnett Creative Images video. It's just a quick video to show you how to use a pass-through mask in order to pull detail through from a layer below when you've applied some textures. What we find sometimes is that if you start applying textures, especially if you're building a lot up, it can actually soften the image and soften the subject a little bit. So you may want to pull some of that detail through from the layer below. And this is just a quick primer just to show you how to do that, quick and easy, just using a couple of textures. So what we've got is this nice image of the butterfly. I think it's a small white, and what we've done is initially applied a texture layer using the Adobe paper textures, and I think the first one is Elysium, and that's been applied as a soft light blend mode, and then the second one is the brushed rose, and that's added a nice little lovely blush colour, and that's been applied as an overlay. Now what happens sometimes is when you apply these, it can, like I said earlier on, that it can soften the image. So what we're going to do to pull detail through from this background layer is we're going to highlight both of these both of these layers, and then we're going to right mouse click and create a group from the layers, and we're going to call that texture. And when we do that and click OK, you'll see what happens is we get this pass-through option comes up here. And if we now apply a mask to that layer, anything we do in that mask now will pass through those layers within the group to the layer below. So if we now take a brush, a regular brush, the brush tool, set the foreground background to black and white, make sure we clicked on the mask here, and then if we take the brush and start to brush it on the mask, it will start to reveal the layers below. Now in this particular instance I don't want to use 100% brush, and I'll show you why on that. If we zoom in a little bit onto the flower, you see if I use 100% brush on this, it does bring it through, but it gets rid of the whole of the texture completely, and I don't want that. I want to leave a little bit of the texture on and just make it a little bit more subtle. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the opacity to around about 50, and I've got the flow to around about 30%. And what we're going to do is we're just going to brush away on areas of the image that we'd like to bring up a little bit. It's quite subtle is this, but that's all right. You just want some subtle detail to come back. We might bring a little bit back into the flower, just a little bit, not too much, to get some depth in there on some of the dark parts, the medium tones. And I might bring little bits in here. Don't be too, don't worry about being too precise in this. You're just trying to bring a little bit of shading back in. And ideally, if you've got a little stylus and a pad, it's a little bit easier for doing this sort of work. But there you go, and that's just bringing a little bit of detail back in, so it's not quite as obvious. And if we zoom out on that, I'm quite happy with that. And you can see on the layer here, on the mask here, that there's some, you can see the shading there. And if we actually disable the mask, it's a bit subtle, but you can see if I disable the mask, if you look at the image, disable the mask, you'll see we've brought a little bit more detail back in. And that's it. Pass through mask. Thank you. Bye bye.